Hi everyone, keeping it together here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Coldplay album, Everyday Life. This is a new full-length record from the world-famous platinum-selling rock band Coldplay. They are back with their 8th full-length album. It is a two-parter in 16 tracks that somehow comes in under an hour. I'm gonna be honest with you, this decade for Coldplay creatively, I think has been pretty dismal. Milo, Ghost Stories, Dreams, not the band's best stuff. And sure, there's been a lot of commercial success and versatility, and it looks like the band is doing well, but the last album Coldplay dropped that actually meant anything to me came out in 2008. So I went into this new record really hoping for the band to end things on a high note with this decade, which was kind of easy. It was easy going into this project with high hopes given the ambitious double album thing, given teaser tracks like Arabesque, a groovy horn-backed jam expressing this sort of humanitarian oneness. You could be me, I could be you, essentially asking the listener to put themselves in the shoes of people who they may fear or hate or think less of. And not just this track, but this entire record feels like a reaction to the incredibly intense and divisive times that we live in. But also it lacks the equipment or maybe even the will to discuss the root causes of war and inequity and poverty and extremism. So essentially Coldplay supplants a focus on real-world problems and solutions for allusions to friendship, a higher power, nostalgia, and a whole bunch of musical detours that just make this entire record feel like a crapshoot, like on Cry Cry Cry, a piano-backed piece of vocal pop with a vintage flair, sounds like it's something straight out of the 50s or 60s, but now just coming out of an expensive studio today with some chipmunk background vocals that are really awkward. Doesn't really say much lyrically, and the ending totally fizzles out. For the most part, it just feels like a random detour, a total non-song and a hit of Soma to distract from this record's lack of core material. And the odds and ends in the track list here continue, especially on the second half. A sudden elegant piano piece topped with a Persian poem that arrives after a very weird instrumental transition, or the song Broken, a one-off gospel number complete with a chorus of singers and finger snaps, some humble piano too. While it's on, it's okay, nothing horrible about it, but ultimately it's another detour with a fizzled ending and a lack of reinforcement of everything that's going on around it. The song Guns that kicks off the second half is a fast and folky number, maybe the most gripping and lyrically radical song of the bunch, with some references to revolution and how our country politically prioritizes guns. The singing and guitar playing on the track are great, but the song's brevity leaves it feeling like a footnote amongst all of these bland non-statements, which this song also is sort of as well, even though it's packed with more social commentary than many other tracks here. These comments really fail to come together into any sort of focused statement. I guess there are also songs here that just feel very off the mark, like Echo with its really pristine acoustics and its idealization of Africa as if it's just one big country, singing about big rivers and African mothers taking this very assuring tone like everything's gonna be all right. I'm not really sure about this one. I feel like this is what you would get if you made Ezra from Vampire Weekend write the most tone-deaf song he could. Even more tone-deaf is the single Orphans, which I didn't think too much of at first outside of it just sounding like a very dreamy arena rock ballad a la U2. With its chorus about missing your youth and wanting to get drunk with your friends, it doesn't seem like too much on the surface, but it gets really awkward looking into the lyrics of the verses and the deeper meaning of the song, as I guess they're inspired by refugees of the 2018 Damascus bombing, in which case, why is the danger these people are in, their struggle to exist, being juxtaposed against this chorus of, I wanna know when I can drink with my friends? I fail to see the parallel here. Like, what is the connection? Thematically, if you just stare at the lyrics, there doesn't really seem to be one. What does this first world desire to regain your youth, just ponder your youth, and drink with your friends have to do with, like, not dying due to the misfortune of being born into a war zone? I think it's really, frankly, stupid to portray their desires as just being like, hey, I want to know when I can drink with my friends. In those moments, I think their material needs and desires should be portrayed with a bit more accuracy. Not just some bum-ass sing-along party chorus the band tosses in to make the song appealing for a pop audience. And look, there are definitely a handful of well-written, well-structured, and satisfying songs in the track list here. Arabesque, Champion of the World, also Trouble in Town, whose first leg sounds like a very low-key, beautiful ballad that could have been on Ghost Stories, but then it transitions into this gorgeous crescendo kicked off with a vocal snippet that sounds pretty Pink Floyd-esque. But this handful of tracks does not outweigh the immense amount of what sounds like filler on this record. I'm sorry, but there's no way that Coldplay could dig this record out of the mediocre rut it's in with more electronic, classical, gospel, or whatever kind of detours. Everyday Life is just a very well-produced but unfocused album with a pretty incomplete message. It's kind of woke on the surface, but just as distracting and inconsequential as anything else the mainstream might want in front of your face. Feeling a light to decent 5 on this one? Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Coldplay, forever.